Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit about that personal story, but also a little bit about pre-production for people to understand what that is, some of the documents maybe that it includes and whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Pre-production is definitely the biggest step, I think, to even doing a project. You can't do anything if you don't have any idea or plan of how to make it work. When you're first starting off, if you want to go shoot something, you can just walk outside with a camera and then see what you get. After, let's say, 10 times of that, you're like, I didn't get the footage I wanted. I didn't get this. I didn't get this emotion. Start realizing it's like, I'm just capturing footage. I'm not telling a story. I'm naturally a very organized guy. I like planning things out. And after the first two, I think I mentioned this before, that one film I did that took 2 or 3 months to shoot, because it was very unplanned, and all we did is show up the set with the actors and try shooting it. A 5-minute short film took 2 to 3 months, not every day. It took 1 day out of every 1 to 2 weeks. We'd go shoot it, and it was just awful. It was not a good experience just because there was nothing planned out. That taught me very well that the pre-production side is the biggest thing. When we talk about pre-production, we talk about a shot list. The DP goes in there and creates a shot list, a storyboard, and kind of shows the story visually. A script, you'll be surprised how many people just go shoot something with no script. You don't really need a script depending on what it fully is, but it's always handy to have a script to kind of tell you the beats, the motion. If they're not talking, you can just kind of describe what they're doing, and it gets everyone kind of on the same page. And then call sheets, making sure everyone's on time, making sure the times are correct, and making sure everything goes smoothly. Once I started incorporating that into all my shoots, things started things started going more smoothly. Everyone was kind of on the same page. And then that's when I started meeting Fernando. I came in with a call sheet, with times, with lunch, with this, with that, because
he won my heart just like that. That's how I was like, all right, I need this guy in my life.
And then we got married. And
it's like, you need me. It's like, hey, baby, you
and then on our honeymoon, I realized he doesn't want to do that anymore. He just wants to be a DP. And I'm like, bro, come on.
I married him for his organization skills, but now he doesn't want to do that. Now he wants to play.
Exactly. The moment we got married, he starts showing me his true side, and I'm like, hold on. Dude, people are actually gonna think, oh, maybe they're married, like legit.
So after this divorce,
show the ring.
What's it called? The divorce papers said I have to schedule his lunch and breakfast still. So his schedule is what I write from the week before. But scheduling, it's like, the biggest thing that as a DP I want to be doing on set is not thinking about the times and not thinking about the different aspects of what do I have to do in this amount of time, or what's next, or what's this. I write everything down beforehand. So all these creativity, all these shots I've had them in a creativity mindset in, let's say, a week ago, a month ago, maybe even a couple months ago. I was creative at that time, and I kind of knew what the script was, and I created that. So once I'm on set, I trust the old creativity that I had before, and then I use that to improve the shots and what I want to do, instead of creating everything on the spot. And then, you kind of work with your previous self in the past and what they set up to help you make the shoot way faster and more efficient.
I love that. I love everything you said, and I do want to say that the shoots that don't require a script are called unscripted, literally because of the importance of having a script. So if you're going to do something unscripted, like a documentary, which I'm going to have Val talk a little bit about because she is really good at that stuff, that's when you don't need a script. Other than that, usually you're going to have to really plan as much as you can in pre-production. I'm not saying there's no planning in documentaries. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, but you don't have actual lines delivered by different actors, by different characters. You don't really plan for the specific movements that you want a character to make on a scene, and that's what a script really does. And then, like Emmanuel was saying, the call sheets, the other documents that go with that are going to really help make sure that everything runs smoothly, but also that everyone's on set on time, because that's another big thing. Just, you know, little things within that are things like the location of a hospital. So like, what's the nearest hospital to a certain location where you're filming? So those are like more security things or safety things. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. If we really were to go deeper into the details, it's a lot of stuff. Val, if you can talk a little bit about documentary and how the pre-production goes for that compared to a short film or a commercial.
Yeah, so in my opinion, like pre-production is that super obnoxious and annoying. Like I used to have like this mentality about it, like, oh my God, it's so much work. But once it's well done, you are in set and you're like really doing the thing you should be doing. You know, like when you don't plan for it, you're worrying about other stuff, and then that takes you out of your mindset and the things you should be doing when the times for production come. So now I totally changed my mind about whether I'm good or not of doing pre-production. I feel like that started with actually doing the job, and I am organized with my stuff. Like I never miss like due dates, and you know, like I like to keep everything till like everything under control. And I just feel like it's something that I cannot deal with. It's like, oh, you know, being in a mess. So I cannot control that on my personal level. But then when it comes to pre-production for a documentary, it's like kind of like life type of planning for, you know, like you have an overarch idea, and all the pre-production stages is more to get the people invited and the people in the same mindset and get to know your vision, what do you want to achieve in the story, and all of that takes a lot of like communication. And then of course depends of which story you're aiming to tell, the scheduling is extremely hard because they're normal people, they're doing their thing, and it's just like it's a part that is super important, which is getting everyone to work out. You know, people get sick when they're not an actress, that's not their priority. And you know, like you also need to dig in more the storytelling and reach that person. So I feel like pre-production for documentary is a lot of like communication skills, and then like on top of that, you know, story can be very open ending in the way you like tie the story together, but you like when I'm doing the pre-production for at least the past two, no, actually from the beginning, all my documentaries, I had this time to write down all the questions and make sure I'm going somewhere with them, and then consult with the person I'm going to be interviewing to have a prior idea of what we're going to be talking. Because like sometimes, I mean, again, they're not actors, they're not natural on camera, so they can get nervous, they can get, you know, like so many ideas and not really get their message across. So that's what you do, and you write questions and you show them, and then they pick if that's an actual fit for their story, and you know that it comes way more. You don't get to write down a script where they open the door, sit in the right corner and say these 3 lines, but you also start building the B-roll as a script. You know, like what part should I add stuff to not have just talking heads and things like that. So that all exists from pre-production, really.
I want to add something to that before you jump into the shot list things, Emmanuel. I used to think that the scripts were very specific things that you write down that you need the actors to do, and I used to think that directing was making actors do exactly what you want them to do, making them deliver a line exactly how you want it and do a certain movement exactly how you want it. So I want to separate it into two things. If you're doing a commercial, then yes, you need some very specific directing, because for instance, if it's a Coca-Cola commercial and the girl has to drink it and you have to see the logo and she has to drink it slowly and then she has to breathe because she is enjoying that. That's very specific direction.
It's very specific, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something we call results-oriented direction. And that is not what you want to do with film. With film, I don't want to say it's like a documentary, but I do want to say it's more towards that, in the sense that you make sure you get the right actor for the right film, and they have to play that specific character really well. So the casting is very important. But the moment that they read it, they will interpret what's on the page and they will deliver it their own way. And you don't want to give them result-oriented direction. You don't want them to tell exactly where you need them to look and how you want them to point. No, that's interpretation. You give them direction, but you let them interpret that scene.
Yeah,
So
I think best
I love-
actors are the ones that, can make your idea as a director even better with their acting, really.
Exactly, but a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people just don't know that. A lot of directors, I feel like they just don't understand that, really. But a lot of people don't know that the actor brings so much to the table. The actor really brings the performance, and the director is just going to help drive that story through. And in that way, it is closer to a documentary than what I originally thought it was, and then a lot of people think it is. Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit about the shot list aspect and how that plays a role, and if there are differences between your process for a commercial and a film? Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, like you said, like a film is like you're capturing a story. So when you sit in there, you're creating a shot list, reading the script, and really seeing how you can capture that story in those specific shots. There's a little bit more creative freedom because you can go in there, I mean, depending on how strict the director is. But you have more creative freedom of being able to tell the story visually and capture that emotion. That kind of works with a lot of documentaries, commercials, stuff like that. But a film gives you that creative freedom to play with the colors, play with the emotions, play with the framing, play with the aspect ratio, and you can kind of go in depth and really see what you're trying to capture from that page. Every time I go through my shot list, I put so much information. I put the size of the shot, I put the angle, I put the millimeter size, I put location, I put the times it takes for each shot, and then it kind of helps you get a real perspective. How long is this shoot going to be? Without that, you'd be like, oh, this shoot could be 5 hours, this shoot could be 20 hours. Who knows? Now you know how long everything takes, the setup time for each shot. Lighting will change between shots. Now for a commercial, depending on the client, you have to kind of stick with their look. You have to stick with the style they want to shoot. There isn't as many, vintage or super creative takes you can get from let's say a car commercial that wants to make everything look super nice, super sharp, super modern. Obviously each commercial changes, but once you get a client and once that client has a specific look, you have to merge your type of cinematography to that, and you have to create the shot list that reflects the way they want to represent either their product, their service, or whatever they're trying to show the audience. So with that, you, instead of really trying to tell the perfect story visually, you're trying to either sell their product or service, or show what their product and service is through their shots. Kind of like Fernando mentioned before, a girl drinking a bottle. That's, if it's a product shoot, you'll do a close-up on that bottle and kind of capture what she's drinking. Instead of maybe a cinematography shot, if you're really just focusing on her drinking water, you just focus on the full shot of her drinking water. These are all different things that you have to think about when you're doing these different projects. They are very similar, but those small little differences can help the client sell their product, can help the client get more money out of the video you're providing them.
What kind of things do you write in that shot list? Like you know, the types of shots, the movement, the action. What do you usually put there? Do you put photos? Like, talk a little bit about that.
So when I first started, I used to do a lot of storyboarding. I'm very bad at drawing, and I'm very bad at Photoshop. AI is a new thing now. I know a lot of people use AI for their shot lists. I might start using that soon. But I usually go around and I get a screenshot of similar aspects and similar things that we want to do. Or if not, I just get photos. So in my shot list, instead of making a storyboard and a shot list, I have a shot list that talks about, you know, what number it is, what time of day it's going to be shot, what the order it's going to be shot in, the framing of the shot, the type of camera we're going to be using, the type of movement, the type, gimbal, static, slider. You go in there, you get the picture you want, you take a picture or you get a screenshot and you put it on there. And then you also put the setup time for each shot. Let's say it's the first shot of the day, it's going to take at least an hour, maybe 2 hours to set up the lighting. Those shots afterwards might take 10, 15 minutes depending, you know, how much you have to move that lighting. You go in depth with how long each process takes, and then you put exactly what everything is going to be. You have to put, you know, depending on who's going to be seeing the shot list, you have to put information that you don't necessarily need, but someone looking at it from the outside perspective will have to read and look and really understand, okay, the DP needs this amount of time for this specific shot. And this is why we need this shot, because this shot is connected to this part of the script. And it kind of tells a story in a different matter. It's kind of like a transcript of the script, but in video format. And having that all laid out, especially with a big crew, can help people understand, you know, how many shots, the length of each shot, what's it going to take, how many people are needed, and it makes the process flow faster.
I want to use a real world example. So you guys are going to be on set for the SDOC shoot on the 1st, and there's a couple things I saw in the shot list that I was about to tell you. So I'm going to figure out the actual address for those locations, and then what I'm going to want you to do is add the address there, so that the same document is going to be the call sheet and the shot list. So I'm going to send you the 2 addresses, and I'm going to want you to put it on the right order. So filming at the house first, and then at the health center. Yeah. So that is like on the right order. And then, yeah, I really like that, so that we're able to kind of merge a storyboard with a shot list with the call sheet all into one document, and you bring that to set and you kind of have everything. Of course, if it's a film and it's something longer, you don't want to always do that. But in this case, it's only a couple of locations, it's only a few shots, so we're able to kind of merge all those documents into one.